Hey guys, welcome back to Gear Force. My name is Paul, and today we're taking a look at the updated 2025 version of my Urban EDC kit, the most popular video on the channel, I think. And so just before we jump into the updates, how it's different, let's just go through what I use it for and what you won't be finding in this kit. So this kit is intended to be something that I can grab if I have nothing else in my pockets and have all of my basics covered, as well as some additional nice to haves. And it's also something that I can throw in a pocket that would also complement something more full size if I wanted to have, say, larger, more dedicated tools. Then I would still have a little bit of redundancy or a little bit of a different approach to things as well. But this is not meant to be an all-encompassing kit. This is going to be what works for me in my life and my approach to EDC. So something that you're not going to see here, which you probably see in other similar kits, is something like a power bank. If I go out for the day and I need a power bank, or I think I might need a power bank, I will take it with me, or I will have a bag which has that in. I don't need to have a power bank crammed into my pocket all the time, because my phone battery, I keep on top of the charge and it will last pretty much all day. That's not something I need to fit into a pouch that I carry everywhere. It's just not the life I live. And to be honest, even though I do have some smaller power banks, it's also just going to add a lot of weight and bulk and preclude me from using this style pouch, which I actually really like. So for now, onto the pouch itself. This is a no-name pouch from Amazon. There's lots of different listings of essentially the same thing. I'll do my best to link everything that's still available down in the comments section, in the description. But you can also get them from somewhere else. This is an example from Temu. This is the exact same design. However, this is actually a slightly softer, more pliable fabric, and is actually slightly bigger. So if I can line that up, you can see it's actually just a little bit larger. So at some point I might convert this and then move this over to have a little bit of extra space. We'll see. But this is exactly how it came from Amazon when I got this pouch originally. And first of all, I just immediately took off the cheap carabiner. I left the attachment point because I like having the option and it can be good to grab from the pocket. There's this O-ring, split ring attachment for keys here. And I actually went ahead and unpicked this entire attachment point from the inside of the pocket, just because it gives you a lot more freedom and a lot more space in that front pocket for tools. And then finally, I took off these rattly zippers and I replaced it with some gutted paracord. This is both to save the rattling and the flapping aboutness, but also adds a nice pop of color. This is just some gutted paracord that is fed through, tied in an overhand knot, and then melted and flattened to keep everything in place. Now let's get on to the outside pocket. This has 3 pockets. You have this kind of like sleeve here, a zip pocket here, and then a zip pocket on the back. So in the front we have an O-Pen Mini and a Trustfire Mini X. Now this has remained unchanged. This is, if you can see this is just some glow tape wrapped around the insert as a little bit of a mod. See if I can show that off. And that's just just a cheap, fun little mod you can do to the O-Pen Minis. When I was reevaluating this kit and upgrading it, I did consider moving to a O-Pen Mini 2. It is a little longer, which is nicer to hold, and it does have the benefit of incorporating this kind of everlasting pencil bit. However, it just didn't really work out for this kit. So that extra length means that the clip is barely holding on here at the very top. It's just a little bit too long, and the top is really just kind of glancing over the top there. So between not being a particularly good fit, the extra weight just wasn't that great, so I didn't actually upgrade to that in this kit. I decided to keep to the original, whereas in other pouch setups I did decide to upgrade just because it made more sense with the pouch. Now the light was originally this, a titanium i1R2 Pro, I want to say. This is the anniversary edition, so it's the IXV in titanium. This is a very simple USB-C chargeable O-light, where you have 2 stages of brightness. This works great. I still stand by this as an excellent keychain light. It's an excellent small light. However, after reviewing the Trustfire Mini X, it is an excellent light because it is a more full-fledged light. You get the, you get more modes. You also end up getting this second emitter. So you can have a UV mode, but this is a red light version, which whatever fits your life better. And just having that extra usability, having the extra modes, as well as having something flatter. This is the overall thing that drove into this. You can see the thickness difference here. And that means that you're getting a lot less bulk in that inside pocket. Because when you bulk up this outside pocket, it makes everything inside tighter, harder to get to, more restricted. So this just makes it a lot nicer to access the internal components, as well as giving a functionality increase. And then this is just a glow fob that I've covered on the channel previously. You can get these from all kinds of brands. I'll link the particular brand that I use down in the description, as said before. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into the main pocket. So I'll show you how this is loaded up first, and then I'll pull everything out and lay it out so that you can actually see it better. So inside we have a kind of like a 2-stage setup. We've got a little flap here at the front for separation, and then the main contents here. This flap at the front only really houses this. This is just a folded up piece of line paper, which you probably know better by a brand name of Right in the Rain in the US. It's just waterproof paper and just having a little scrap so that you can write down a license plate, phone number, note, something that you can hand to somebody, or say if your phone gets damaged. It's just great to have some paper around with you, because to be honest, sometimes you don't want to write on your hand or somebody else's hand, and this just is nice. Now let's go ahead and rip everything out of here and go through it bit by bit. So I'll do a quick overview of everything, but out of the previous kit, this are the same, and then we've just added on a bunch of other things. So going through the things that were in here previously, this guy attracted a lot of attention the first time. It's just an ultra thin knife. It does have a lock, and this is a Klecker Tools knife. This is from the Klecker tool series, where basically you could swap out the tools. That's what this hook system is for. I got this just to use as an individual knife because of how slim and whatnot it is. This is not available. This is discontinued. You might find it secondhand somewhere. I cannot link you to this, but you can replace this with something else that you can still get, something like a Spyderco. The Bug would work. I prefer the Honeybee. I think it's a more usable size. So yes, this is great. If you can get it, but you probably can't. So use a suitable alternative. This is a mini Bic wrapped in a few different things. So this is waxed hemp. So this can act as a wick to elongate fire, or to be used as a fire starter itself. In the middle here we have some gutted paracord, as we have a dog barking in the background. Wonderful. And then this is some duct tape. This is because of the overall size here. I actually went and split some duct tape down the middle. So this is half width of what normal duct tape would be. And that's just, general. You can use it as a fire starter, but it's just, let me show you the thickness on the duct tape there. But it's just mostly for repairs, keeping stuff together, things like that. Now, if you use a pouch that facilitates more easily a full-size Bic, then you could probably go for either full-size duct tape, or you can mix some other things. I would also recommend some electrician's tape would go really well. Electrician's tape is very versatile and tends to leave very little residue. The primary tool in this kit is the Victorinox Minichamp, with the exception of I have replaced the Victorinox insert tool here with a pair of Leatherman tweezers, just because I prefer the slant to the standard Victorinox ones. Now this has a lot of tools, a lot of density. It also has a second option for a pen. This, I just wanted to get as many tools as possible in here. You don't have to go this heavy, you can just use a normal classic or something like a rally if you want the driver still. Really just fit a small multi-tool in here. You can use something like a squirt if you want pliers, or you can use the Next Tool Mini Sailor. That's also a great budget option, and Olight did their own branded version of that, which I have done a video on previously. But for what I wanted, I think this fits perfectly. You get a couple of different knife blades, different drivers, scissors, everything encompassed here really nicely. Now onto the new stuff. Now I don't carry a power bank, but I do find value in carrying a cable. This is an inCharge cable, and this is actually funded by a regular viewer of the channel. I received a donation for it for review, and it's actually come in handy quite a few times. So inCharge here basically is a bunch of different cables in one. So by standard, you have USB-A to USB-C, and then these come off to reveal other connections. So that's USB-C to C. That is a combination Lightning and micro USB. And is this cable useful? Yes. Am I happy I have it? Yes. Is it perfect? God, no. So one of my complaints on this could be a quality assurance issue with my particular cable. This end, so the end that's normally just USB-C, there's no force really here at all. Like, this works, it will still charge, but the lack of retention in keeping that in here is kind of insane. And I think it is partially because of what this is. So again, this is a combination Lightning and micro USB, and it works, but it's not particularly good at being a micro USB. It does kind of feel like you're forcing it into the port. Again, inCharge cable, they make different versions. They make high speed versions, longer versions. These are also decently expensive. If you can afford it, if you can get them on sale, yeah, sure, go for it. If this is just a quality assurance issue and your experience is different, let me know down in the comments below. I've used this a few times. I find it a valuable addition to the kit and is a good in-between because I'm more often around ports than I am, ways to charge with them. Next up is the Nite Ize Doohickey from one of our budget videos. It's just a nice, compact little pry tool with, yes, we have a bottle opener because that makes it EDC. We also have a bit of a wrench in here as well as a very small ruler. And as you can see, we've got something stuck to it. So this is hot glue. Now you can just have an entire stick, which is quite large, or you can cut down a stick, but I've found that this is actually a really nice way to carry and use hot glue. So this is just a normal pin with a bit of a ball end just to make it easy to hold. And you can just use the included lighter, which you don't even have to use all the flame from the lighter itself. You can light some wick and then use that in its place. And then you just apply what you need as a fix, put it back, and then this also doubles in the way that you just have a pin on hand for the times that you need access to a pin. Reset buttons, a little impromptu fix to your clothing. It's just useful to have a pin in general, and using it as an applicator and holder for hot glue really is a good application in my mind. This is just how I use it at home as well. I don't own a hot glue gun. I don't use it enough to buy it, but I do have some hot glue sticks, and this works just fine. In terms of how much hot glue this is more than enough for most impromptu fixes. You don't need an entire stick, and you can quite easily make a whole bunch of these from a single glue stick. In terms of how this is attached, this is just a tiny flat magnet. And you don't need to buy this. This I harvested out of a broken pair of headphones. Just every speaker is basically magnets. Crack open a broken pair of headphones, get yourself some nice flat magnets. It can really help with just organizing your EDC. And then the hot glue just sits in the gap of the wrench. Again, nice, easy, compact to carry. Next up is this little guy. This is a miniature glow stick. These are often sold as nighttime fishing lures. Like you put this on so you can, I guess, see your float, or you can attract a fish at night. I'm not entirely sure. I don't fish. However, you get a lot of them really cheaply. You can get them in different colors. This is a standard glow stick green. I will say that whilst you can get them extremely cheap, a lot of them reflect that price. I will do my best to link to a good one, but I don't know if the listing will still be active. Basically, I've been through several different listings, different brands, and a lot of the time the amount of glow and the duration is a little lackluster. This is one in particular that tends to have a decent brightness and glow time, and this can be great just as a little backup light, or if you just need to mark something in the dark. Say you have a power cut and you just need to mark where a door is, say if you want to, go to the bathroom, then you could just tape this with some of the included duct tape to a door so that you can see where the door handle is. But given the overall size and weight, it just makes sense just to include this because it's not really costing you anything. And finally, we have the Titanium. Again, different brands are available. This is a collapsible toothpick. I would never use this as a toothpick because I would skewer my gums. However, it's just useful in general to have a pointy, scrapey thing for getting gunk out of places, pushing buttons. If you were so inclined that you needed or wanted to use it in a different application, that is definitely something that you could consider. I just like the utility of this. You can get these pretty cheap. Again, this is a pretty common item you can get from sites like Temu or AliExpress. You don't have to go with the name brand. However, Titanium is pretty cheap. I got this from Haney, I believe, and it was, I want to say at the time I bought it, I've had this for several years now, it was probably under £10. Considering that it's titanium and actually decently built, it's a nice addition. Overall, I think that the utility has expanded over the main pocket well enough. This is not the final form, things will still change, but I do think that this has improved pretty substantially. Now we'll just quickly go over the back part and then we'll wrap up. Now in the back is a bunch of just flat general first aid supplies. So flat is the operative word. This is the most restricted pocket just in how I've laid it out. And so you really want things to be as flat as possible. I did at one point try a packet of burn gel in here, and that sachet got squished, burst, and made an awful mess. So I don't recommend trying to include things like that, particularly if it's going to be packed in tight and pressed against in the general confines of your pocket. But basically what we have in here is some different sized bandages. This is a glasses wipe cleaner, basically. It's for safety glasses. But this is also great for your phone, camera lenses. I wear glasses, so this comes in handy a lot. Just a general Steriwipe for you to clean a wound. Some over-the-counter pain meds. This is paracetamol. So this is just 2 500 milligrams, which is a single dose, and 2 antihistamines. Now this is kind of like a depleted version. I have previously had some diarrhea tablets and some ibuprofen in here, both of which currently need to be replaced. But if you're looking to include medication, I do recommend doing this approach, where you just cut out the exact amount you need with rounding cuts so you don't end up with those sharp little corners. And then you know that they're still sealed, you know that they're still going to be good. You don't have to buy a special pill container. It's just nice and easy. If you're looking for medical supplies on the cheap, you can buy little $1 first aid kits from basically anywhere. I know Walmart does them. Or if you're looking for a more bulk approach to perhaps build up multiple kits, I highly recommend not getting a first aid kit, but getting a first aid kit refill. It's basically just a giant Ziploc bag full of a bunch of stuff to refill a first aid kit that you get in stuff like workplaces. And that's a more affordable way of getting a whole bunch of different supplies, and then you can pick and choose what you want to include in what kit. Now let's get all this stuff back in and then go over the final thoughts. So there you have it. That's the 2025 update to my Urban EDC kit. Again, I will try and link everything that I can down in the description below. And here are some general size references: 58mm, 91mm AA battery. This guy is still nice and compact enough that it's going to easily fit. I think I actually shaved some bulk and weight off despite adding things. Not overall weight, but relative to the flashlight part of it, by switching from this to the Trustfire Mini X. And overall, I'm happy with that change so far. I might go to something different. I might go to something else entirely. We'll see. However, this is working great for me right now. I have done a little bit of updating to other pouch carries as well. So if you're interested in seeing how my pouch systems work, let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know if you have any suggestions to add to this kit in particular. One last note, I might see people saying add some emergency cache. That is a very valid suggestion. I don't do it because I have emergency cache sprinkled in other places, and I'm not particularly flush enough that I can afford to have so many different stockpiles. I have a few places, and that's enough. But yes, you can carry a little bit of cache in this kind of pouch. That is a useful thing you can do. Just not for me, and I imagine not for a lot of people on a budget, but it is something that you can definitely do. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. Are you going to use any of these ideas? Do you have a kit like this yourself? And do you have any recommendations for me? But I hope you've liked it. I hope you give us a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.